Baylor is now a 3-time Big 12 champion in football. First time they've actually had the game, and they won it. 2 years ago, of course, Oklahoma got them when Chris Platt was chased down just enough, and they did not win. But back-to-back years in 2013 and 14, Earl Campbell, Tyler Rose Award winner, the inaugural winner of that award, Bryce Petty, joins us, Baylor quarterback who led them to 2 straight Big 12 titles. What did that mean? Bryce, first of all, great to have you with Craig Paul and David Smoak. What did that mean for the former players to see that moment on Saturday?
To see what moment, Smokey? I'm confused.
The moment of winning a championship for those who helped build this foundation back 10 years ago or so.
I tell you what, it means a lot. We always said it, right, Smoke? Is leave it better than you found it. And for those kids and what they've been through the last couple of years, to just see where that program has continually trended, to where what I said, on my show the other day is that Baylor is starting to become a destination for athletes. That's what the coolest part is, I think. Seeing those kids go out and blood, sweat, and tears, all the off seasons and summers and fall camps, and then put that all on the field, especially when no one really believes in you. I think that's just been such a mark on our program, is to do things, for the guy next to you, because no one else really wants you there, believes in you. And I think that we're starting to become a place where people do want to be in Waco, and there's an expectation to win. So I think it's just, being a small part of something bigger, kind of means the world to watch those kids develop and continually, again, set a new standard.
Bryce, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, I mean, there's all these rumors that were around Dave Aranda, and I think one of the things that a lot of people didn't consider with Dave Aranda is that in 2 years he might be the coach at the football power of the Big 12, right?
Not the big, yeah. I tell you what, man, we are the school in Texas. When you look at football, men and women's basketball, volleyball, baseball, and softball coming up, I mean, we are the premier school in Texas. And when you have that, as you guys know, from a recruiting standpoint, Texas is top. I would venture to say top 3, if not top 2, state in the country. And so I think that Coach Aranda is definitely putting himself in a position and a place to make our football program, to your point, Paul, the spot in the Big 12, and that's going to be a beautiful place coming in, because I to be totally honest with you, I think I hear a lot of different comments about what UCF and what Cincinnati and BYU, Houston, those schools are really good schools, and I think it is going to. It's going to provide a different picture, obviously different demographic in terms of recruiting. But if you can be that hub in Texas, you are going to be good for a long time. And that's what I know that Coach Aranda wants. For him to say that he wants to stay here and be a part of the program, grow with the program means the world, and ought to mean the world to those kids, they're going to be, committing and playing for Baylor.
So, Bryce, there's Baylor. They get out to the early lead. Blakeshapins playing his butt off, and I'm sure we're going to, get into more about just Blake in particular with you. But here comes Oklahoma State roaring back, and there they are, right there on the goal line with a chance to win the game, first down and goal. And the Baylor defense, for the second time in the game, the second half, stuffs them on 4 straight plays, and obviously Jaron McVay makes a Hall of Fame Baylor legendary play. I mean, what was going through your mind as Oklahoma State got that first down and goal, and subsequently what followed with the defense just stepping up in the most major of ways?
Well, I mean, dude, as an offensive guy, I'm screaming to take time out. I'm like, there's no way that you could say, and it has nothing to do against our defense. It's just really, really hard to stop a team 4 times in a row on the 4-yard line. So, I'm sitting there screaming, God, we got to take time out. So for those guys to stop, really, it's 5 plays from the 8. For them to stop that offense, and they've got some weapons, for sure. This is a Gundy coached offense, so they definitely have weapons. But to stop them 5 times, 0.4 times inside the 5, it was just incredible, and it's such a cool story for Jeremy McVay. No one can ever take that away from him. That it was 1-on-1. It was my will versus your will. To be a 6-year guy, walk on to make a play like that it was incredible to watch as a fan. I know everything that he's been through. Dreams late at night, knowing that he belongs, and just give him a chance. And so, anyways, for that to come to fruition for him, I was so happy. But you gotta give the hats off and tip the cap to the defense, or tip the cap to the defense, because that's just such a fun unit to watch all year long.
Bryce, after you left, and then, of course, we know in 2016 there was a coaching transition to Jim Grobe, interim, and then here comes Matt Rule, and he eventually takes Baylor to a Big 12 championship appearance, and then he leaves, and here comes Dave Aranda, and here they are. They win the Big 12 title. You're right. It's a destination location. It's no longer a stepping stone. Some might still feel that way, but that's okay. What is it about the Baylor football program that is so damn resilient?
Yeah, to be totally honest with you, I think there's just a locker room mentality of I know that when we were there, guys were pissed off about not necessarily where they didn't go, but just the fact that when you go to camps and other places where guys are getting recruited by at that time bigger schools, the Texans and the A&Ms, the Oklahomas, there's a chip on your shoulder about not getting recruited to certain places like that. And I think that's just kind of permeated through that locker room and really sustained as kind of being a character trait. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. When you talk about setting a standard, if your standard from a leadership perspective, talking about the Terrell Bernards and the Jalen Petries and the Gary Bohannons of that locker room, when there's a certain standard to where you're expected to make plays, you're expected to put it all on the line and do it not in the sense of because football owes you something, but because you owe your teammates something. I think that really resonates with a lot of the guys, and it definitely trickles down, kind of cascades down to the freshmen. So I think it's just such an identity in that locker room that's come from a couple of classes before the guys that we're seeing now, and I'm hoping that continues to sustain, and that's the culture that I think Aranda's building there as well, to where guys just get to embody the term resilient. I think it's such a unique character trait in this day and age to be resilient. Life does not care who you are, how many stars you have, what your last name is. And that's one of the things I've just absolutely loved about football. And so when you can embody that and really make that your identity as a locker room, I think you're going to go, pretty damn far.
Is Blakeshapins' confidence a result of Blakeshapin or the coaching? More, which one you give it more to?
Man, I don't know if he just, takes a lot of sleeping pills or what. But man, I never had that junk, man. I was always nervous as all get out, and he just comes out there and kind of sassays out on the field like, this is just another day. Seeing him in his first action against Kansas State, and then his first start against Tech, and then starting the Big 12 championship game, all that, really leaves me excited about the future for Baylor football. But more importantly, just what he said after the game, the fact that this is Gary Bohannon's win, it was just, kind of my time to step up. I mean, that just shows a lot of character and honestly a lot of maturity, I think. So, Blakeshapin, buddy, my hat's off to you. I think you got a hell of a quarterback and one that, is going to make Baylor football exciting. Because it's still, and it's funny that a Big 12 championship is won 21-16. We had a lot of great defensive play this year from a lot of different teams, but this is always going to be an offensive-driven league. I think, even though we got, obviously Aranda's a defensive guy, and Venables is coming in at OU and a defensive guy, but it is always about the offense, and so I think that Blakeshapin and what car he's about to drive, not from an NIL perspective, but from an actual unit perspective, I think we're in really good hands, and I'm just really excited to see his growth.
So, Bryce, continuing on with that, I mean, he obviously got dinged up in that game, and when he did, the offense changed a bit. Now, you got to give Oklahoma State's defense some credit. They're there for a reason. But what did you see in particular from Blake in these last couple of games, just in terms of his arm, his accuracy, scanning the field, those types of things, even knowing when to take off and run with it? What kind of stood out to you about what you have seen from his actual play?
Yeah, I think he's a gifted thrower. I think he's a natural thrower, and it obviously comes, a lot, being a two-sport guy, playing shortstop on the diamond as well. But, When you watch him throw the deep ball with just a lot of accuracy, that's stuff that and especially as a backup, you don't really get a whole lot of reps with a one. So, the first drive against Tech, hitting Tristan Everett down the sideline, right in the breadbasket. I mean, that's just a natural thrower. So, it was, and then the touchdown to Tyquan Thornton in the end zone. I mean, I was telling Dad about that this morning. They were hiking in Santa Fe, so they missed it. But the Tyquan made a great catch, but I mean, that ball is only where Tyquan can catch it. And I think that's something that, as a fan, sometimes you don't really understand, kind of the nuances of ball placement. But what I have noticed is his ball placement, even in tight zones, throwing away from defenders, for, zone coverage versus, man coverage and things like that. Just, it really shows how gifted he truly is. And he really hasn't even had a chance to develop yet. So, keeping Coach Aranda is a huge thing. I think keeping Sean Bell's an even bigger thing, because what he was able to do with Gary Bohannon, develop him into the quarterback that he is, and we've all witnessed over the year, what he's going to be able to do with Blakeshapins too, I think, leaps and bounds better than what we've seen in these last, 2.5 games. And that was a pretty damn good, menu to look at. So I'm really excited about, what he's going to continually do as he grows into the leader of the offense, to be the face. There's a lot of things that come on and off the field with that. And I think he's got the shoulders to do it.
Bryce, when you were at Baylor, Art Briles was the head coach, but also as much the offensive coordinator. Then there's Philip Montgomery, who was the offensive coordinator, plus a staff that, of course, has now had success elsewhere as well. And Levy, with what he's doing at Oklahoma, Ole Miss, at least for now. Who do you spend more time with, the offensive coordinator or the quarterback's coach?
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was there, Coach Monty or Montgomery was the OC, and we had, Coach Briles and Coach Montgomery ran those meetings. So it was, a lot of time spent with both of them. And then, when Kendall took over, I was obviously done. And then, when you get into the league, it's a lot more quarterback coach than it is offensive coordinator. But an offensive mind and a quarterback, you have to be an extension of your offensive coordinator. You have to know why he's calling plays, in certain situations, what he's wanting, out of the execution of that play. And so there's a lot of time spent, together with your offensive coordinator. But and I think that's why I like Sean Bell so much. I think he does such a good job of really dissecting that for Coach Grimes, who's obviously, Bulls winner. So congratulations to him, because he did a hell of a job this year. But, being able to spend that much time and again, knowing and understanding, dissecting certain plays, what this coverage versus this coverage means, getting through progressions, getting through reads. That's when the time spent with your quarterback coach is paramount. So, I know it's kind of a lengthy answer to your question, but I think a lot of it kind of depends on, how the head coach likes, is he a culture guy? Is he just going to be, kind of out there man in the fort, or is he, intricately involved? And I've kind of been with a couple different, personalities in that way.
We were alerted to this fact on the show yesterday by a former intern of ours who writes for Clemson. She said that, this is the first Big 12 title that you haven't had anything to do with, Bryce.
That I haven't had anything to do with?
Yeah, because you were the quarterback of the first two, and then now this one, this is the first non-Bryce Petty Big 12 championship.
Man, I tell you what, I didn't have a lot to do with the first two either. It was I tell you what, it's fun. Like I said, it's fun seeing us back. Kind of on top of the Big 12. And so I would have absolutely loved to have, championship games, obviously in 14. So I think that's why we got jumped. But it's such a good thing for the conference to have championship games. And it's, especially as a player too, it gives you so much to play for, coming down the stretch. That's really what makes, November so much fun. So, I think I enjoyed this one about just as much as I did playing. Obviously I'd rather be out there. But I don't miss being sore, yelled at, or tackled. So,
Bryce, how big was it? I've been kind of hammering this home, just for them to win that game. I mean, obviously it's important to win and to win a Big 12 championship, but they got there 2 years ago and fell short. And it's like, okay, well, the program's coming back on the upswing, and it's good progress to at least get there. But to get there and win it, like, how much more important is that? Not only because, it wins a championship, but just the confidence, the build that it creates with just a big win like that. Getting over the hump, how important was that, you think, for this program?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's huge for a couple of reasons. I think one, second year under Coach Aranda, it was huge for guys to buy in. When you buy into a program and you buy into a head coach and what he's preaching, it's one thing to buy in; it's a whole other thing to see it. For those guys to win is seeing it. It's seeing what he's been preaching the last year and a half, 2 years. And then I think just for the confidence moving forward. It's knowing that was the grip year in 12, when we beat, or in 2011 when we beat Oklahoma at home. I mean, we'd never done that before. So as soon as you knock, that off the mountaintop, then it's any other team. For these guys moving forward under Coach Aranda, where I think, again, the common, theme here that he's going to say is that, man, we can stay on the top of this mountaintop because we've been there before and we know it. And then, secondly, I think just for recruiting, I mean, I think that we're entering in a place where you got 1 year left with Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12. Have fun in the SEC, suckers. But this is where we really start to kind of establish a dominance that, I think that, the OU, the 6-time, back to back to back, whatever Trevor Knight keeps saying on our podcast too. I can't stand it when he says it. But, when you get to create that dominance, you can't have 6 unless you have 1. And I think that's what a huge piece of that is okay, now we have a goal to get back there every year, knowing that you can have a loss to TCU, you can have, kind of a competitive maturity, which I keep going back to because I just love that statement that Coach Aranda made after the Oklahoma State game. But that competitive maturity, I think, is really where guys start to see, things come to fruition that you had, in spring practice and in fall camp and all the good stuff. So,
Bryce, I do have a brief NFL question for you, and this is just on last.
Good, because I had a brief stint. So.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, look, you played in the division with Bill Belichick, who I think coached the best game I've ever seen last night in that he threw 3 passes and won a game. What was it like preparing for a Bill Belichick team when you were with the Jets?
You never knew what the hell was going to happen. Bill, and even the 3 years, and I kind of go back to crazy enough, my first year when we had Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall playing on the outside for us, and we were really rolling. That was, Chan and Fitzpatrick. We had a really good offensive unit my first year there, and Bill came out and put, and at the time, if you remember the name, Malcolm Butler was their number 1 corner, just came off of the big Seattle pick, was their guy, really followed number 1 everywhere, which at that time for us was Brandon Marshall. So we played him at home, for the first game, and he put Malcolm Butler on Eric Decker and then doubled Brandon Marshall. It was kind of one of the most insane schemes that I've ever seen. But just in watching how Bill has created such a dynasty within that franchise, doesn't do it flashy. I think, again, kind of like what we're talking about with standards, and one of my good friends is Nick Folk, who's the kicker up there. Where I was actually just talking to him today, but the way that he does it and how he's done it, there's such a standard of winning to where they're not going to go, pay big free agents and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you see who Mac's throwing to. I mean, he's not throwing to, I guess Antonio Browns, Odell Beckhams, and these guys that are kind of high caliber guys on the outside. DeAndre Hopkins or, Devontae Adams, that kind of thing. He does it with guys that just are blue chip guys. And so, you never really knew what to expect on the defensive front other than the fact that it was all about, kind of dismantling tendencies. Everything's about tendencies. Everything's about schemes, who you are from 3rd and 1 to 2 to 3 to 5, 7 and 9, and then 10 plus. He would just change up every scheme he had, and was constantly thinking about that. So it was always fun just because of what, his name, but at the same time too, it was never fun because, man, it sucks when you go out there and you've got nothing. But the other, I played my third year. We had from 1 to 5 the previous 4 weeks. They were man coverage across the board. Cover third and 1 to 5. Cover one. We get out there, and this was when we were. I think this was the last game, so we were 3-12. No chance of making playoffs at all. They actually went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So there was no reason for him to do anything outside of that man coverage, and came out and played zone from 1 to 5. So all of our third down plays from 1 to 5 were straight up crossing routes, man beaters, and came out and drop 8 just cause. So just things like that, man. You kind of like, man, thanks, dude. I'm, second year, playing at anyways, even a third year guy, and we've got no answer to anything. So it's just, it was always fun, preparing for him, knowing that you didn't know what the heck to expect. So.
How much fun, and we'll leave you alone. I know you got to go. How much fun has this podcast, you and Trevor Knight? I've watched some of it. You guys have great rapport. You're absolutely unafraid to say things about each other or anything else along with others. How much fun has that been?
Yeah, I mean, Smoak, I've got a fathead poster of you on my wall, and that's all I've really tried to be. Is what would Smokey do? But in all seriousness,
oh, we lost him. No, we got to get this answer.
No, I'm afraid to.
No, here we go. Hold on.
All right, let's try to get it.
We got time.
Yeah.
We got time.
Yeah.
You got to finish that answer, Bryce.
We lost you. You have to finish it.
I tell you what, Paul, I think you did that on purpose. I know that you did. I have a fat head of you up on my wall as well. Please don't be jealous. No, but in all seriousness, it's been so much fun to be, to go from a player to just kind of a pure fan, and then have the opportunity to really engage and watch football, to talk about it. It's been really, really fun. It's been fun to watch programs intently. It's been fun to, tell my wife on Saturdays, hey, I have to have my phone, laptop, and TV going at the same time because, I've got a show on Mondays. Don't bother me. But I tell you what, it's with Trevor, it's always been a blast, and we do, thank you, Smoak, for saying that we are really good friends, and it's always fun to be around, guys that you love and guys that love football. And, he's both of those for me. So we've had fun poking at each other, and especially, kind of where this OU thing has, the Lincoln Riley thing was nuts, and watching Baylor come up, and then the Gary Patterson thing. So there was just so much, juice, I guess, or meat in this first season for us to do this. It was a lot of fun to kind of get each other's takes on it and how we saw it. So I love doing it, and can definitely see why you guys have enjoyed it as much as you guys have too.
When we started this show back in April of a year ago, and then all of a sudden in July, Texas OU, SEC, and all the things that you just brought up, it has been unbelievable. It's just exploded, and I can imagine what it's done with two guys who played the game. Thanks for your time, Bryce, as always, man. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys so much. Y'all be good.
Bryce Petty with Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, and David Smoak on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365. I can't even see it. Your hand's in the way. Yeah, okay.